Let me ask you a question you probably never truly considered. Are your most cherished beliefs really your own? Or have you been conquered from the inside out, seduced by stories that disguised themselves as tales of virtue but were, in fact, weapons, carefully sharpened to slice through your resistance, to implant identities, and quietly decide who you are allowed to be? We love to imagine ourselves as independent thinkers. We recoil from the thought that someone, somewhere, is quietly pulling strings behind the curtain. But human history is soaked in stories, most of which weren't created to entertain or enlighten, but to bend the mind, to colonize the soul, to win invisible wars for loyalty, status, and control. And the most effective propaganda isn't the blunt, government-ordered kind. It's the kind that slips into your heart, hitchhiking on beauty, heroism, and shame. The kind that calls itself a classic and teaches you to worship its lessons. This is the hidden perspective. The books, movies, and legends you hold sacred weren't just written. They were engineered, systematically constructed as psyops for your subconscious. While you're busy analyzing senses for moral lessons, your sense of right and wrong is being rewritten by someone else's hand. Why do we fall so easily for these stories? It's a flaw, or perhaps a survival mechanism, buried deep in the human psyche. We crave meaning. We long for narratives that give our chaos structure, that tell us who to fear and who to trust, who to hate and who to forgive. Every society, every group, every family even, passes down stories as instruments, not of pure truth, but of psychological alignment. Whether it's ancient epics about the glory of war or the latest bestseller shaming a particular enemy, stories recruit us emotionally before reason ever gets a chance to argue. But it's not only about group cohesion or survival. There's a darker engine running beneath. Status. We use the classics not just as mirrors, but as weapons. If you know the right books, worship the right authors, quote the right lines, you secure your place higher on the social ladder. You perform your enlightenment. And the more you demonstrate allegiance to these accepted canons, the more protection you have against the chaos of not belonging. You become a soldier in someone else's war, fighting for ideas you've been trained to believe are uniquely yours. This is subtle control, not through outright domination, but seduction. A story inspires you, makes you feel noble, wise, and chosen, before you realize that inspiration was engineered to serve a purpose beyond your understanding. The author's personal wounds, ambitions, and agendas are hidden behind a curtain of artistry. Their struggle becomes your struggle, their villains, your enemies. You do not notice the leash being slipped around your neck because it comes laced with meaning, nostalgia, and heroics. And here's the genius. The seduction is self-perpetuating. Once a story makes you feel special or righteous, you become its most loyal evangelist. You defend it on social media, at parties, in arguments with friends. You become the mouthpiece, spreading its gospel as if it were your very own truth. But it's not yours, not really. It's the echo of battles you never chose to fight. Let's dig a layer deeper. The reason this machinery works so well is because our egos want to be told who we are. Uncertainty terrifies us. So we cling to borrowed identities like life rafts in a storm. Stories don't just comfort us. They relieve us of the agony of self-definition. They choose for us, while we tell ourselves we've chosen freely. We hunger to see ourselves as the rebel, the enlightened, the misunderstood hero. And so, we eagerly swallow tales that let us wear those masks, even when those masks are the whole point, the original function, of the story itself, to incentivize certain behaviors, to justify certain positions, to shame others out of existence. This isn't just intellectual. It's emotional, visceral. Have you ever felt uncomfortable when someone challenged the value of a classic you've loved? That instinctive sting isn't just about taste. It's about identity under attack. To question the story is to question the role you stepped into, the comfort, the status, even the friendships you built around sharing that narrative. We love to talk about open-mindedness, but which of us is truly ready to discard the stories that have given us our place in the world? And now, the uncomfortable truth. These aren't isolated incidents of manipulation. This is the ocean we swim in. Every generation writes its own propaganda, dresses it in the clothes of legend, hands it to the next with a warning. This is who you must be if you want to belong. And so the soul shrinks to fit the costume, generation after generation. There is almost no such thing as a story free from motive. Every moral, every myth carries a secret payload. Even our efforts to escape this, by seeking out supposedly subversive or countercultural works, are swiftly commodified, turned into new uniforms, new ways of belonging and excluding. But it goes even deeper. Consider what happens when we realize we've been manipulated. Do we rebel for real, or just swap one set of programmed beliefs for another? Our desire to see ourselves as enlightened rebels is itself a story. The so-called awakening is often just another trick, a story about escaping stories that lets us feel superior, without ever freeing us from the need for some narrative to hold us together. The truth is, we don't truly want to be free, we want to be certain. We want to matter to someone, somewhere, at any cost. What does this reveal about human nature? That we are not simply seekers of truth, but builders and defenders of mythologies that justify our place in the world. That we prefer the comfort of manipulation to the terror of true ambiguity. And that, perhaps most disturbingly, the stories which arouse the most pride, or the most outrage in us, are simply the ones that have succeeded most deeply in reaching our hidden wounds. Our need for validation, our fear of insignificance, our longing to be seen as righteous, chosen, or uniquely oppressed. Here's the harshest layer of all. Even knowing this, being aware of the manipulation, the hidden motives, the status games, the seduction, you won't escape it just by noticing. Awareness feels empowering, but it's just another story you tell yourself about being one of the few who see through it all. But the urge to belong, to feel certain, to find identity in stories, that urge doesn't disappear. It just seeks out new narratives, new identities to wear, less obviously branded as propaganda, but no less controlling. So, next time you find yourself moved by a classic or fiercely defending a beloved story, try to imagine the invisible hands that built it, not to destroy your enjoyment, but to see the machinery working inside you. Ask yourself, whose war are you fighting? Whose voice whispers through your convictions? What reward does your ego receive for reciting the right lines? In the end, we are all living inside stories, stories we never wrote, but which have written us. And perhaps the scariest truth is not that our beliefs have been shaped by propaganda, but that, given the chance, we'd willingly become the propagandist in someone else's mind. Because what we fear most isn't manipulation. It's not belonging. And that is the secret war waged inside us, every single day. Remember, the most dangerous story isn't the one told to you. It's the one you cannot stop telling yourself.